This video will show you how to add a patient to an inpatient waiting list and how to record multiple outcomes in Intouch. Ophthalmology have designed a robust process around this to ensure that these multiple outcomes are picked up on and that the relevant waiting lists are created. Our patient has been diagnosed with thyroid disease and needs to be added to an inpatient waiting list for a procedure. We also want them to see an orthoptist in 6 to 8 weeks and to see an optometrist for refraction in 6 weeks. We've added all the relevant information to Medisoft and now want to record the outcome of the appointment on Intouch. In the dashboard, we'll find our patient and click the envelope to the far right of the screen, which will take us to the outcome page. We can then answer the 3 questions. For this example, our patient is not on the cancer pathway, but at the appointment we did give a diagnosis and an investigation was carried out. These will need to be recorded to ensure the trust receives the correct payment. To record the diagnosis, click the diagnosis title and a list will drop down in alphabetical order of all potential diagnoses. It is helpful to close the list once completed to keep things more manageable for you. We also want to record an investigation, so in the same way, select General Exterior Photography from the list. We do not want to discharge the patient. We want to add the patient to an inpatient waiting list and also want them to see the optometrist and the orthoptist. We must now decide the primary outcome, as this helps to consider what the main outcome is from our perspective for this appointment. In this instance, it's to add the patient to the inpatient waiting list for a first treatment. Although an appointment with the orthoptist and optometrist may happen in advance of the patient's inpatient appointment, these are considered secondary to the inpatient procedure. We now need to select inpatient and listing for first treatment. We now need to complete the necessary fields to create the waiting list, which in this case is the waiting list name and any further actions required. Details such as planned procedures should have been added to Medisoft, so there's no need to duplicate this information. This has dealt with the primary outcome of adding the patient to the inpatient waiting list to ensure that additional waiting lists are created. We then need to return to the further actions required field. Here we'll find the option for multiple waiting lists required. We can specify that an optometry and an orthoptist waiting list or follow-up are required. If any timescales are to be specified, we will need to add them to the comments box to add the further detail. Remember, it's the further actions required field and the comments box that gets pulled through to the reports read by the secretarial teams. So if these are not completed and you haven't selected multiple waiting lists are required, it will not be seen and will not be picked up on. Once the outcome is saved, a coloured tick appears on the envelope icon on the dashboard to show that the outcome has been completed. It's a blue tick rather than the standard green tick to denote that something has been entered into the further actions field. This acts as a flag for the secretarial team that further actions need to be carried out for this patient.